This is the frame jig concept, and here's how it looks. Again, it's a little different from everybody else's because I've never done this before, so this is kind of my vision of it. But what it's supposed to do is let us get chain lines adjusted, and all this stuff is slopped on here, right? It's all crooked. It's not anything. Nothing is where it's going to go. Okay, this is just slopped up here just to get an idea. But this is the concept, and the way this is supposed to work. Since all this is custom, right? This 45 Harley stuff is just all custom, right? It's just going to have to be. So, because Harley Davidson never built a combination like this, so I thought this would come in handy. Anyway, the way it's supposed to work, this is a stub frame. This is some heavy wall tubing here, and this is the stub frame, and it all starts here. All right. So, what we're going to do, the order of operations is going to be to set the ride height and black. They're both going to be hardtails, right? So hers is for sure, I think, right? And there's going to be no suspension, right? So the ride height of the bike is here, right? Distance from the tire to the bottom of the frame. Then we're going to center the tire in the frame. Then we adjust the chain line between the back wheel and the transmission, and the height. Then we're going to adjust heights and chain lines here, or a belt line, rather, because we're going to machine this and turn it into an adapter for this BDL pulley, right? We're going to put that there. So then we adjust the belt line for the engine. And then we're going to build the rest of the bike. Basically, we're going to stub in a seat post here and get our transmission mount up front one, the rear mount for the engine, bend the frame together and the tube, right? And then the front mount, and build the rear legs. And what this is intended to do is allow you to move the stuff around before that you make it permanent, or have to bend a bunch of tubing and decide that you don't like it, right? And it's also, the 45 is not a real formidable looking engine. It's small, okay? And this will kind of let us, and there's a lot of custom stuff here. It lets us do things like fit the oil tank, put the gas tank on, put the gas tank on it, put the forks on it, hang sheet metal, and kind of get an idea of what it's going to look like before anything's finalized and any big money is wasted to tie it up in it. Hers is a 4-speed. It's fairly straightforward. It's going to be kickstart. There's nothing here but an oil tank and the seat post and the frame. It's fairly straightforward. Mine, on the other hand, and I may not go through with this, but I bought this. That's how it's supposed to work. And mine, on the other hand, my transmission is going to be a Harley 60. And it's here. And I got this online. This came out of a wreck touring, right? And when you wreck one of these, it's common to snap them right here at the swing arm pivot. It's a common thing. It's supposed to work. It's supposed to be a good transmission. It's supposed to be a low mileage transmission. There is no good way to mount these things. They're part of Harley's new modular construction, right? Where it bolts to the engine, and then your chain line and everything's set, right? It's all, dedicated like that. And the older ones aren't. They're components, and there's heights and distances and things. For as an example, if you want to run let's say you fancy the 10 primer, right, on the panheads, and if you decide that you want to put more of those on here, well, the distance here has to be, I think it's 12 and 13/16, or close, right, of that fit. So this lets us set all that. This thing everything is set, right? You bolt this to the engine. There's dowels, you know, head bolts to the back of the engine case here. And it's all set with their new construction. And we're not using it in a modern bike. We don't have anywhere to put it. So, and these actually, the oil pan for the engine goes underneath, right? There's a lot of surface area here. You know, this is, that's a fairly big area. So stock, that's how it goes. What we're probably going to do, the plan anyway, is to whack this case off here, right? Literally, I'm going to take a Sawzall and I'm going to cut this case off. I'm going to pull these dowels out, stand it up in the mill, machine the back of it flat, right? We're going to take the end we whacked off, move it forward, and weld it on there. But before I do that, as long as I've got this end, I machined all nice and flat, I'm going to flip it around, stand it up again in the middle, and I'm going to mill this area off. Then I'm going to take I'm going to take the piece I cut off, narrow it, move it forward, weld it, flatten the bottom of it. And the idea is I'm going to take a thick, nice aluminum plate, and I'm going to bolt and dowel pin to the bottom of this transmission. And I'm going to mount it like 4-speed, right? Because 4-speed's mount from the bottom. And normally, I don't think that would work, right? But the 45 is not it's just not powerhouse. A high performance 45, right? A high output 45 flathead, you're probably talking about 30 horsepower, 35, you know. I think that'll be totally sufficient. It might not be, you know, and it may not work out. But they don't have a lot of torque. I like the idea of having six gears to spread the torque over, you know. Or they don't have a lot of horsepower. I like the idea of having 6 gears to spread that out over, you know. So I've got a gear for every occasion. And but this is really experimental. Her way is a much more, you know, standard way of doing things. So that's how Pago does it. You know, there have been combinations like this before. To my knowledge, nobody's built a 6-speed in a. Nobody's used a 6-speed behind the 45. If they did, it would be the Ultimate transmission or one of the Baker kits, and they're kind of expensive. If you break something, they are proprietary parts, right? So then you're, you know, dependent on Baker or Ultima, you know, for the parts to fix it. But that's the idea. That's the idea, and that's how this is all supposed to come together. And if something doesn't fit right, something doesn't look right, you know, this jig is supposed to let us hang forks. I mean, do the whole thing and envision the entire bike, right? Before a lot of money's tied up. We got to swap these back wheel here. So I'm going to fix that or trash it. It's pretty fat, actually. I don't know what that would look like on a 45, right? A Pro Street 45, I can even do that. I don't know. But anyway, this is supposed to let us kind of envision the bike, hang the sheet metal, fit everything, and mock it up right here without having to tear it down 1,000 times or bend a bunch of tubing that doesn't work or anything like that. So anyway, that's what we're doing.